And I have to admit, I do feel quite sleepy after having a week off and getting into lions. It's feeling a little bit harder to wake up in the morning, and with the change of seasons and the darkness. So I'm grateful to have this practice where I can lie down and go even more easy than normal. Let's start by hugging knees into chest. Give them a squeeze. Breathing in and out through the nose. And you can maybe tune in to all the shifts that are happening inside as you lie like this. What's going on with your spine? Can you get a sense of your connective tissue realigning, adjusting? And then bring your hands to your knees and take some circles here. And then change direction. And let the knees drop apart and take hold of the shins. So it's a very easy version of happy baby, rocking from side to side. And let your eyelids drop if you're comfortable doing that, and just be aware as you gently rock from side to side. Where are you feeling this? Which part of your body? And then raising the legs, feet up to the ceiling. You can place your hands wherever you want them to be and just point and flex your feet. And then circle your feet. And then bending your knees, bring your feet back down to the floor. Drop your knees in together, have your feet apart, either edge of the mat. And take a little bit of windscreen wiper legs. Go slow. Bringing your legs back up to center again. Feet up towards the ceiling. A little bit of shaking. And then bend the knees, but keep the feet up off the floor. Open your arms wide to the sides in a T and drop your knees over to the right. Turn your gaze to the left. then inhaling, knees back up to center. And dropping knees over to the left, turning the gaze to the right. Coming back to center. Dropping the feet to the floor, taking your arms either side of your body. Walk your shoulders away from your ears. Palms turn to the floor. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, push the knees away, let the hips rise. And then walk your arms beneath you. Exhale as you come back down. Bend the elbows so the palms face one another. Push the upper arms down into the floor. And let the hips rise again. With the arms down, perhaps you can get your chest to move a little closer up towards your chin. Maybe you can draw your knees towards the far end of the mat. And then lowering yourself back down again. Bringing your legs back up towards the ceiling, giving your legs a shake. And then folding, crossing your legs, so the left leg goes over the top of the right. Knees are bent as if you're sitting cross-legged in a chair. Opening your arms out into a T. And dropping the knees over to the right-hand side. If it's too strong with your legs crossed, just uncross them. I like this twist because sometimes I get a really lovely click happening in my spine. It's quite a chiropractic twist, this one, for me. But if it is too strong, like I say, just uncross your legs. And actually the click comes from the breath for me. The deeper I breathe here, the more I get this release in my spine. And then uncross the legs, but stay twisted over to the side. And this next pose is sometimes complicated to kind of translate from words into action. So just do your best to listen to what I say and see if you can follow. So the legs are both going to stay bent. We're basically going into catching the cat's tail, if you're familiar with that. The bottom leg, which is the right leg for me, is going to glide down so that the knee meets the left foot. And still both legs are bent at 90 degrees at the knee. And then I'm going to take my left hand down and see if I can catch hold of that right heel. And And then the right hand is going to come and rest on the left thigh. So any adaptation of that shape, you just take the version that feels good and be sure that the breath is still nourishing you. It is quite a strong pose. If it's too much, just stay with your knees together in the twist. The legs are almost making the shape of a swastika, which is an interesting shape because most of us will associate that, of course, with the Nazi regime, but actually the swastika is an ancient symbol of auspiciousness and luck. Way before our modern history, that symbol existed. Okay, and then bringing your knees together, rolling your way back up and hug your knees into the chest. Just notice how your back feels. Yeah, and probably rocking from side to side is going to feel good. It might be that some circling of the knees feels good. Moving in either direction. And then extending the legs up. Imagine you're standing on the ceiling, so your feet are flexed, toes are coming back towards you. We're going to open our arms out wide to the side and perhaps bend the knees and cross the legs. This time the right leg will go over the left. Might be very different on this side. Just to come into it with eyes wide open, even though the eyelids might be down. Just to be honest with yourself about how that's feeling as you drop to the side. Shoulders are both staying close to the floor, maybe even flat to the floor. And the breath is a really beautiful space of release. And then uncrossing the legs, stacking the knees one on top of the other. Legs stay bent. We come into catching the cat's tail by sliding that bottom knee down till it lines up with the top ankle. So for me, my left leg has come back. Both knees are still bent. Right hand comes to meet left heel, and left hand comes to meet right thigh. Or just stay with the knees stacked to the side. And releasing the arms, bringing the knees together, rolling onto your, I should have said bring the knees together and up, so they're in a comfortable place to bring the knees back up. And hug the knees into your chest. And so now we might be in a quite a good place to thread the arms inside the knees and catch hold of the feet. And I quite like to play with pushing one foot away and then the other foot away, and you can kind of get this, it's almost like you're bicycling the legs, and you get to roll the pelvis a little bit, the sacrum. You can start to push both feet away and straighten the legs, and then bend the knees. You get to explore what mobility is going on in your legs and how that affects the lower back. If you've got room, you can take your feet apart, take them wider. And then releasing the legs and coming back down to the floor. Let's straighten the legs, pointing the toes. Reach your arms up above your head, pointing the fingers, and let yourself be as long as you can physically be. And then bring your arms back to your side, hug your knees into your chest, wrap your hands around the back of your thighs as you rock. And if you've got softness underneath your spine, take a few rocks. It's not so comfortable if you've got a hard floor underneath you. Well done. Come gently back up to sitting. And we'll reach our legs out in front of us, toes pointing upwards. Inhale, take your arms up high. It allows you to get some space in your spine. Let's fold our elbows, creating a frame around our head. Your neck is easy, there's no tension. And you might take a little lean in either direction as each elbow takes its turn to lift. And then releasing the arms, take them down. See if you can place them flat on the floor either side of your hips, and that's a proportional thing. Sometimes I find that having the fingertips down and the hands are like leaving a space for a cupcake underneath. Sometimes I find that easier, but there are other times when my hands come flat. And then roll the shoulders away from the ears, nice big circles. Toes are still pointing upwards. And then come to settle and bring all of your awareness into your pelvis, lifting up through the pelvic floor. Let yourself be aware of your breath and aware of Mula Bandha. This pose is actually all about Mula Bandha. And then walk your hands behind you, fingertips pointing towards sitting bones. Point your toes away from you. Again, consciously roll your shoulders away from your ears. And come sideways actually. Roll the shoulder blades away from your ears. Soften your elbows. Push through your hands and lift your hips, looking up towards the sky, towards the ceiling. Toes move their way down towards the floor. See if you can lift your heart a little higher and your hips a little higher. And then lower yourself down when you're ready. And returning to an easy seated position. Soften your knees just a little. Reach your arms up high. Lean forward and take your armpits to your knees. And your hands should be able to reach your feet there. So sometimes you can really hook your knees into your armpits, but for some of us that's not such a comfortable place to go. You work out what works for you. And then you might slowly start to walk your sitting bones back, or perhaps you're walking your heels forward. I don't know how your body prefers it. But this has nothing to do with having straight legs, but it is to do with being curious about where the edge is for you, the honest edge of a forward bend when your torso is staying in contact with the thigh. And drop the chin towards the chest so that the neck is relaxed. And take some breaths there. So if there's a big gap unfolding between your torso and the thighs, then bend your knees a bit more, let the contact return. And notice if you can feel any movement as you breathe around the ribs and the back. And then release and come back up to sitting, toes pointing towards the sky. Inhale, take your arms up high, and as you exhale, come forwards, working your hands in the direction of your feet. Perhaps they're just on your shins, and very often I have them either side of my legs, so I get a bit of stability. And we're not even slightly attached to how far forward we can go. We're just curious, how are the hamstrings doing today? Yep. And then inhaling as you come back up. And we're going to bend the right knee. Blues comes during the practice. So with the right foot in close towards you, let's take arms up. Left toes are still pointing upwards. And just drop that knee out to the side. So we're not yanking it anywhere. And let the sole of the foot, the right foot, settle against the inner left thigh. Inhale. And as you exhale, come forwards. And then inhale as you come back up. Reach your arms up high. Let that knee return upwards. Take the foot across to the other side. And then bring your hands down to hold on to that knee, sitting up nice and tall. The left hand can stay hugging that knee, or perhaps the elbow is going to come across. And the right hand is going to come behind you. It's very much about the depth of the breath here. And then inhale as you return back. Take the legs straight out in front of you. Reaching your arms up. Bring your left heel in. Let the knee drop out to the side. Do however much wriggling is needed to let yourself settle. And then exhale as you come forward. Inhale as you come back up, arms up high. Bring that knee up to center. Take the foot across. And then hold onto the knee, hug it in close. And perhaps the elbow comes across. Perhaps you stay hugging the knee. Left hand can come back behind. Take as many wriggles as you need. And breathe a nourishing breath. And come back to center. Uncross the legs. Bring the soles of the feet together. Hold onto the toes. Let the knees drop out to the side. A little bounce. Let the rib cage lift away from the pelvis. And then roll from the chin to the chest, all the way down. Crown of head heading in the direction of your toes. And then returning back up. Coming to a cross-legged position, bringing your hands to your heart center. Namaste.